rituals. It's usually not a nightly ritual at home. I don't keep a lot of like decaffeinated tea around, but it's nice when I have it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's been a good habit. How have things been? You leave tomorrow.
I leave tomorrow. Yeah.
I love the little note you left for the jeans.
Yeah, put it over there.
Very fun.
Yeah, I figured like functional kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think when we talk about when I think about I'll move this. Like I don't know, like things that you do in your writing practice or things you do in your creative practice. There's a lot of neglect of basic kind of like practical things that I find are like really, I don't know. I have to drink a certain amount of water when I'm writing, otherwise I can't think and I need to take a nap. But
yeah.
Like, I did not think that I needed jeans to be here. I thought I'd be in shorts every day, and I wore those quite literally every single day. So, those things are important.
And the note you left was great because you said something about, like, just how thick things were and, like, the weaves and stuff like that, and that you just didn't expect it. So, yeah, that's great. Well, one of the exciting things was that you typed that on this and you brought this. So this was your grandmother's or something?
Yeah, it was my grandma's. I believe it was her father's, like, initially. As far as I can remember, or I saw her recently this year, and she was the one that gave this to me.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah, I hadn't seen her in a while, but she told me that the last person to use this was my dad writing a paper about Japan in the 3rd grade. So,
The 3rd grade?
Yeah, so
wow.
1976 or something like that.
That was so funny.
So, I got a ribbon working. I brought a couple extras, but it's been completely fine. The typewriter that I work on at home is, it's quite literally the typewriter that James Caan kills Kathy Bates with at the end of Misery. It's like a 1930 Royal 10 or something. So this is a Quiet Deluxe. It's lighter. It's not nearly as loud. But it's definitely gotten the job out. My fiance once said that my typewriter at home sounds like indoor construction. So like
jackhammering or something?
Yeah. So I have to put a towel underneath it. But this is already quieter than that, which is nice.
Do you think you'll use this more often?
I think
so.
When you go home? Yeah. I mostly just brought it because I could.
Yeah.
Portable
on the plane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. It's it was something that I had used kind of like off and on before being here, but it's been like a pretty integral part of like my process while being here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So before I go any farther, can you just tell a little bit about like your name and where you live? And this is your first residency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, it's Trevor's first art thing. Yeah, I'm Trevor, CT professionally, Trevor and everybody else. Not really like from anywhere.
Yeah.
Moved around a lot. I was born in Pennsylvania. Ended up going to Charlotte and then Atlanta. Went to college in Georgia. My fiance and I lived in Chicago for 5 years, and now I'm back in Atlanta. So most recently in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Guess,
so like transplanted. That's my life too.
Yeah.
I moved around a lot. It's like an American experience. You either just stay where you are for like generations, or you move around a lot.
Yeah, or you're just like chasing lower costs of living, like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill or something. But yeah, I guess I mostly identify with Atlanta.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you were in graduate school doing your MFA in creative writing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It finished in the pandemic, or it was during?
Started. Yeah.
OMG.
So I started, Joe and I, who was here before, we started in like fall of 2019.
Okay.
And so, we had a nice little semester together. We got really close as a cohort. And then March of 2020 was when things changed. I had been teaching before then, and then I taught like through a lot of that too,
Okay.
which was transitioning was kind of an interesting experience.
Yeah. So y'all were living up in Chicago at the time and going to school up there.
Yeah. I was living
Okay.
in Chicago at the time. I was living in Chicago, and I was like working a video writing job in Chicago
Yeah.
as well.
Nice. So what was the motivation to do a residency for yourself?
What was the motivation? I mean, I guess that's either a question I could answer like really briefly or really extensively. I think at like a basic, like practical level, it was to give myself time and space to write, to take time away from my job and the, blessings and curses of, living where I live, and, just kind of having a distraction-free couple weeks here.
Yeah.
But maybe like more than that, it was like a desire to like really put on in a in almost like a self-indulgently way, like I'm gonna live like a capital W writer for 3 weeks, and I'm gonna get up every day, and I'm gonna do all the stuff that I've read that my in the biographies of my favorite writers that they do, and I'm just gonna do that, and I'm gonna bring a fucking typewriter on an airplane with me, and I'm gonna drink a little bit too much coffee and like pace around and like throw pieces of paper over my shoulder and like stare at the stars and wonder what they were thinking when they threw Orion at one side of the skyline and Scorpius at the other, and they had to chase each other for all eternity. Just kind of sinking into that like self-indulgent, kind of like flamboyantly like aloof writer's lifestyle, I suppose.
Yeah. Doesn't it suck that we have to use the terminology of self-indulgent? Why is it that we have to say that?
Yeah.
Why isn't it just your right as a human to have that experience, right? Why is it selfish? I mean, that could be, we don't need to go down like a 2-hour conversation, but
yeah.
I appreciate you. I love how you said capital W, like, because I do think, and we've had quite a few other conversations about just like the system, right? And like the hamster wheels that we're all on, and how do we balance all of that, right? So you had that, like, from what I'm gathering, you had this like gut feeling a year or two after graduate school, like, in order for my practice to feed me, I need to have this time. And what a magical time you've been here. We've had like 4 different seasons, it felt like, right? And we've had like meteor showers and all sorts of stuff. Real showers, like the thunders, lightning, like crazy, right? And yeah. So you have the inclination, the motivation, and I think that you told me that you found me because I was like close enough to Atlanta, but then you ended up not driving.
Yeah, I'm involved in a writing group, like a kind of like writing collective in Atlanta called Lost in the Letters, which is a phenomenal organization. Yeah. They put on a lot of like events, but also just like readings and this and that. But they also just have a lot of like basic craft oriented like studio hours and like workshops. And a couple months ago, there was a poet who came and they literally ran a workshop in a graveyard, which is kind of like so cool. My fucking jam. I've got a graveyard tattoo on my arm. I'm reading a book right now called The Dominion of the Dead.
What?
So things about the macabre, gothic things or things I'm interested in. So that's to say that Lost in the Letters, Scott, the guy who runs it, he'll just like send out a newsletter that's like, here's a place to submit, and here's a residency, and this was on there.
Wow, really? That's so cool.
Yeah, and then I
need to meet Scott. I need to talk to Scott. Thank him for that.
I'm not even sure how he knew. But I'm not on Instagram or any of that stuff. But hopefully my fiance Chandler is, and she was like, "Hey, Scott just posted this residency," because I had been applying to like other ones, and just kind of not hearing back. And so I applied, and then I'm here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think from a fellow creative person and how we've had conversations about the system, because we've been talking about like my old life as a professor, I think that residencies are kind of like similar, right? Like
Absolutely,
the ones that have been around a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of like mired in whatever institutional system apparatus that they're in, right? And then like the people have a particular aesthetic or whatever the hell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it gets all bogged down
Mm-hmm.
in their whatever system. And I think for me, as a still considered kind of like emerging residency, I really value supporting people like yourself, of like, oh, I just found you, and I really want to do this. And but you also, there are certain types of people that are aligned with what is happening here, right? So, and I think that the energy and the message, right, automatically filters out the people that won't find value in this, right?
Of course.
So so I think that number one, yeah, fantastic that you found me, and like the kismet of all of that I think is really cool. And I remember when you got here, you kind of were like a little bit worried to tell me that you had changed your project, right? So when you first applied, you had this really awesome kind of like wandering in the woods, I'm going to be a capital W writer. I've already got all this written, and I just want to wander a little bit more. But you actually, between then and now, you had started working on a different project, which I think is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing that like I was talking to CJ about is like, I don't like to say, did you accomplish, like when we put like those parameters on things too, like, did I accomplish something? And then you start to have like value problems. Like, I didn't accomplish anything.
Except
or
in her case, she accomplished way more than she
right. So like, or like someone might accomplish something different, right?
Yeah.
Or like, well, what is an accomplishment? Is like getting out of bed every day an accomplishment, right? Like, you went over to the river a lot, right? So anyway, tell me a little bit about how the last few weeks have gone for you since you're leaving tomorrow.
So this will get into like the project itself and the transition, me anyway. But so I've been here for roughly 3 weeks.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, I would say there's kind of been like 2 divisions of time. There's been like the first half, and then like the second half.
But basically, but the definition of that was other people and solo.
Yeah. So other people, while my friend Joe was here, I was in more of like a receptive state. I wasn't like, I was, one of those days I walked like 4 miles in one direction and came back,
Wow.
I just kind of wanted to. Like,
how far did you go? All the way to like the cows?
I went further. There's like, I forget the name of the road.
Raspberry Road?
No, like further than that.
What? You walk that far?
Yeah.
Wow.
I walk a lot at home.
Yeah. But there's another cattle farm farther down.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the big. I got followed by a vulture there.
Oh, that's what you were talking about, the vultures. Yeah. I love that part. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So the first time was like a receptive time. It was a lot of just kind of walking around. I was in the woods quite often, pretty much like every day. I would go there and like read for a couple hours. I found some days I would like, climb around and burn off my little boy energy. But other times there's this like kind of rock ledge, and so I got to sit up there like, King Arthur, like reading on a camping chair a couple hours a day. I read like quite a bit that first couple weeks, quite a few like really interesting books. And I was like mostly editing things that I had been working on for this other project during that time, but not really like pushing the pieces on the board further necessarily. What I've been working on since being here is it's like, I mean, at a basic level, it's a novel about a hockey team. It veers into like speculative literature, which is to say it takes place in an imagined future that doesn't necessarily deal with like different kinds of technology, but like a political and social reality that is an extension of what is going on kind of like right now. So the salient thing there is it's in a world where the United States has been balkanized and like paramilitary civil war of like kind of like an Irish variety has been going on. And so because of that, the NHL, the National Hockey League, has been dissolved. And so the hockey team, which is sort of fictional but sort of not exactly fictional, is a team that's based in Hamburg, Germany. So that's where the story takes place. And so the main character is he's like an American expat who's just kind of like vague things about America are like coming to him over the news, but for the most part, he's just kind of like grounded in his own little milieu. So I was editing and reading for a lot of the first half, and for the second half, I was pretty much hammering out pages for like 6 or 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
On my
and you've been set up here. I saw you typing outside with Buttercup a couple of times.
Yeah, that was fun. That was just kind of like to test it out, and the stuff I was typing then did end up in the story, which was cool though. But it's been really nice. The way that I've been thinking about the typewriter is it's been kind of like a really useful like scaffolding for me. I guess in a sense what I'm doing is like I'll write a couple pages of a first draft and then type it. But the way that my day kind of looks is that whatever amount that I get on the page here, a lot of times it's what like an artist would call like a sketch. It's like, the forehead's gonna sort of be up here, and there's gonna be like a tree and a fawn. So it's like a lot of times it's like typewriters have different colors. My ribbon is red and black, and so I'll like write something and then I'll have it in parentheses like expand this later or something like that. And so if I end up typing like 1 to 3 pages on the typewriter, that becomes like 6 or 7 when I actually type it out, and then an additional like page or 2 when I go back and like edit it the next day. Because usually the mornings are like editing what I wrote the previous day. So yeah, I've been kind of pushing that forward. In the process.
That sounds great. And that also worked out really well too, because like the first half, the weather was different. The stars were clear. It was like comfortable. It felt like fall weather at some point. Yeah. And then this week has been like the hottest week on the planet or something. And it's just been like
Mars.
Yeah.
I'm just like in my like underwear.
It's like steaming outside, and just like you can't even like you open the door and it's just so oppressive. And I think that's just like it may or may not affect what is happening literally on the page. But there's like just really interesting irony there too, just like this moment in time.
Because I'm writing about ice hockey and it's like
that too. I didn't think of that. That's funny too. But no, just like how the distant future and like how things are, like it literally is like the hottest week on record or something, and it was it was like this weird brutality outside. And I remember driving and I saw you running and I'm like, no, what are you doing? Like, be careful, you're gonna get heat exhaustion or something like that. So
I think I probably
yeah. So like, and these things where we just weren't expecting it to be so hot. Like, you go outside, you don't think it's gonna be that hot, and then you're like, so, it's just like really weird this week.
Right, and especially because I live in Atlanta, where it's it's hot Atlanta. It's hot all the time. But it's just different out here. It's like Atlanta has, especially the area that I live in, has a lot of like natural tree cover, and it just doesn't always, like, it can be 90 degrees and kind of feel like 80. Here, if it's 90 degrees, it feels like 130.
But I think that was because of the heat wave, or like the heat index, or whatever, the heat dome, or whatever was going on. I mean, because this is not the normal kind of heat that I'm used to here. And from Florida, like, this was weird this week.
Yeah, it was like scorching. I mean, and a lot of, because I've been, like, working here, obviously, like labor working, and the days where I would go over to the meadow and mow the lawn, like, I would get, I would go at like 9 or 10 or whatever and get back at like 11 or 12, and it would take me until like 3 o'clock to like really feel like I had like calmed down and recovered. I have to take a cold shower, like,
wow,
kind of like lay down and like fan myself like Julius Caesar for a little while.
Well, I appreciate the commitment to that. Seriously. Whoa. But I've also had the same feeling. But then it's like, am I just overreacting, or like, why do I need to lie down right now? And then, because my body can't handle what's happening outside. Right. So it's like, we're just trying to do normal activities, and then it's like, hello. Yeah, exactly. Like, exactly.
Normal than that.
So tell me a little bit about, so you are one of the people that have been on what I call the farm scholarship. So tell me a little bit about what was interesting for you on that regard, and how you leaving tomorrow feel about what you did, like cutting sticks and picking up rocks and all these weird things that we did.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna miss it. I mean, I'm a pretty like physical person. I'm an athlete by nature. But I didn't have to. I mean, aside from the day that I mistakenly ran, I didn't really have to do any. I didn't feel like I needed to go run around like a dog like I usually do, because I can just run myself into the ground. Not into the ground, but like working. In my like life where like I work as a copywriter. I write headlines and like web stuff and stuff like that. So I'm in front of a computer all day. So being able to go outside and just take thin sticks of firewood and breaking them over my thigh, and shoveling rocks and grabbing the donkeys and pulling them around by the bridle, or mowing the lawn. There is something like very gratifying about physical labor, and especially as a writer, whether I'm doing copywriting or like my real writing, or even reading, like you get antsy and you need to go out and like throw a frisbee or shovel something. And so having that kind of like built in has been really nice. But I'm definitely gonna miss it. I don't know. It's fun. I made the mistake of like not bringing any. I guess my blue jeans that I bought here. I just like, I don't know. I would go out every day in like a cut off shirt and blue jeans, and I felt like I was like Paul
in some sort of song or something like that.
It was like putting on a different identity, so that I could put on my work gloves and like, I don't know. It was cool.
That is funny. Yeah, that is really funny. That's great. Well, so we're heading to the airport tomorrow, and you're probably packing up tonight. We just had dinner, so that's nice. And I agree sometimes you just need to go outside and do something, right? So you need some sort of physical activity to help the brain process, right? And there's a lot of research on that, psychological research and creative research.
Definitely.
And I mean, we talked about that earlier today. Like, that's why I don't even have a dishwasher here, because I want people to like be in a space that's different than the rhythm, and then also that helps you with the creative process that allows your brain to really like do the work for you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So if I'm like at not necessarily like at a creative block or something, but it's like, oh, I've got this like puzzle challenge that I'm in the middle of something, I need to think about it. Normally I just like sit and like, twiddle thumbs or whatever, like metaphorically. But I think having all of the other, like, oh, I could go and do this now, and then break sticks or shovel something, right? And then like while you've been doing that, I've been like tearing down boxes, right, of cardboard, and like taking tape off of cardboard, and like spending an hour like drenching, like hoping the sun doesn't come down. And like in that hour I have like all these like ideas, and like, okay, and then I can go back and like sit down after I take the cool off and like drink lots of water or whatever, this past week at least. So you are exemplifying the mission and the goal of like what I hope people experience here, because I think it's really, like a valuable type of thing. And also like with residency programs, I mean, they're everywhere, right? They're in a city, there might be like 100 people around, and they're only for a month or whatever it might be, So yeah. All right. So you're leaving on a jet plane tomorrow.
Yeah.
Somehow or other, John Denver has gotten in my head this past week, and I like watched that song for some reason.
Is it the denim shirt, maybe?
No, I don't know. It wasn't you. It was something else. Oh, look, you've got Powell's Books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's in Portland, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I've been there.
It's an amazing bookstore.
It is gargantuan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like suspiciously big.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like Harry Potter big. Like you go through, and then all of a sudden there's like another, like, is there another building here? Or have I gone through like a magical tunnel or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm pretty sure there's a secret passageway underneath that connects it to the Doc Martens store.
It's it's totally gotta be. Yeah, Portland isn't what it used to be, but at least Powell's is still there.
Yeah, my first time being there was like November of last year.
Really?
Yeah, but it was, I guess I didn't know before, but I really liked it.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. I won't keep anyone on the video for that. But anyway, like you got to stay up. You stayed up late for the Perseids meteor shower, and it was like beautifully clear. And you've had campfires on the bluff, and like watched the sunset, all sorts of things. What do you think are some of the takeaways? And it's kind of like camp, right? Where you're like, that's why I call it camp, that you're going to like leave camp and leave those memories behind or whatever. But what do you think kind of like as you're packing up and finishing up some of what you're working on and leaving tomorrow morning, kind of what is sitting with you the most?
What is sitting with me the most is I think, I don't know if I'm necessarily like more guilty of this than anybody else, but I tend to like I think writers are like they're kind of like, we're kind of crafty. We know exactly how to like finagle like squeezing like 3 hours of writing in the morning before we've got to go see like Aunt Mildred in the afternoon, and we've got to drive and go do that, or we've got like we know how to like block off our days. I'm also a runner, so as a runner, like I know like I can like run between this work meeting and this other. So like I'm pretty good at being like crafty and squeezing things in exactly in places, but that probably comes at like the like to the detriment of like being able to like really like loosen up and like taking up space for your practice. So being here, and especially being over there in the woods, I kind of just like I was just like, at least from by my standards, like radically unplanned and radically like I'm just gonna walk in this direction and see where it takes me. Or there's a log and I have the urge to just like stand on that right now, and so I'm gonna stand on it even if I'm like precariously about to fall into the river or something. So like I don't know, just like really genuinely like slowing down to the point where like different kinds of like possibilities, different kinds of thoughts, and different kinds of things just like I think in some ways like my thinking has probably been like rewired in a certain way by being here. So I'm gonna do my best to like bring all that back with me in a way that's like sustainable and like amenable to my like lifestyle back home, I would say. I feel like one of my favorite days, a day that certainly took up the most amount of space in this nice little journal here, was the day I mentioned earlier where I was sitting on a rock ledge, like like King Arthur reading in the camping chair. I just like I would go in and out of like states of being where I would be like reading, and then I would just kind of put the book down and sort of smile and look around, and then there was like a beaver swimming below, and then some like starlings flying around, and just like really, I mean, this is gonna sound like a like a banal platitude, but but I mean, like when you slow down, you just like you see what is going on around you. There's a lagoon down there, and if you sit long enough, the fish kind of swim up to you. And I think that was kind of like my metaphor for like the ideas that I was having. Like if I just like sat still long enough, I didn't try to like how do I get this character to go to the bathroom? Like the idea just kind of like comes to you.
Yep. Well, I appreciate that so much because that's kind of like one of my mantras of really wanting to encourage people to do that, to go slow, to disconnect in order to reconnect. I like to use that phrase. And I think when we're given the space and the permission to do something like that, and someone like yourself takes the permission and runs with it, like truly magical things can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. I just am so grateful. It's just been so amazing. And even the like little writer workshop that you helped do, like the second night you were here, was so fun.
Yeah, that was great.
And it's gonna I hope you can come back again and maybe bring more people or not, whatever it might be. But I just I'm so appreciative. So it's been fantastic.
Thanks. I would love to do that, and I appreciate you saying that a lot.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah.